The big question in Washington right now is, do they really care? So far, it's all been talk, with little action to show for it. In the meantime, Jared Baker, editor-at-large of the Wall Street Journal, has published an article titled, "Trump is Undermining America's Reputation." In his piece, Baker argues that America's global reputation, built on centuries of ideals, is one of the greatest geopolitical brands in history. However, as he pointed out, we may now be witnessing the greatest exercise in brand destruction ever seen. Baker emphasizes that brands, whether corporate or geopolitical, hold real value, even if it's hard to quantify. From companies like BlackBerry to Bud Light, businesses understand when they've lost their brand's value. The same principle applies on a global scale. Damaging a geopolitical brand can have devastating effects. President Trump may find his direct, in-your-face diplomacy satisfying in the short term, but his actions are eroding America's reputation as a defender of freedom, dignity, and the rule of law. This may harm the US brand not just in the long run, but also in the present. Baker references the ancient Romans, who once said, "Let them hate us as long as they fear us." While that sentiment may have had some merit in ancient times, Baker argues that part of America's superpower status has come from admiration, not just fear. In the end, as the Romans learned, it's dangerous when the world no longer fears you but still despises you. Elizabeth, who joined in the discussion, highlighted how America's standing in the world has significantly shifted. She noted that President Trump's approach, turning his back on allies like Ukraine and making harsh statements about Europe, has contributed to this change. She also pointed out that the US is now in a trade war not only with China but also with longtime allies. The situation with China remains uncertain. While the US has long recognized China's unfair trade practices, Baker observes that the Trump administration's approach is a break from past US policies, which often turned a blind eye to such practices for the sake of global economic stability. Trump has always viewed Europe as a nuisance, and his preference for strongman leaders who exercise authoritarian control is evident in his foreign policy. There are no tariffs on Russia, and the relationship with China remains volatile. Looking ahead, Baker is concerned about the economic implications of the trade war with China. He notes that 90% of iPhones are manufactured in China, and any shift to domestic manufacturing will take years, not to mention the potential cost of iPhones skyrocketing to $3,000 to $3,500. This situation isn't expected to be resolved by the end of Trump's term, leaving the future of this trade conflict uncertain.